All right, peace. We're back. Street 16 podcast. Mike Barcliff, along with my brother Ron Williams, aka Joshua Bang.
What up?
Where you from, brother?
I'm from right here. I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia, neighborhood called Bayside Arms.
Okay. And yeah, Bayside Arms. And so did that mean you went to Bayside High School?
Yeah. I went to Newtown Elementary. I went to Bayside Middle. Yeah, Bayside High School. All that. Yeah.
And so what years were you in high school? What's your class?
Oh man, you better tell my age.
Oh, you don't got to do it. I was just trying to put it out there for the brothers because you know me, I'm not a local. I'm a New Yorker.
Okay, no doubt.
And so when I came down here, I was already a young adult. And,
Right.
And I ran into people from all parts of the 7-5. And I ran into the neighborhood pride that people have, the same way we had it back in Brooklyn.
No doubt.
And so a couple of the neighborhoods that immediately, made an impact was Cavalier Manor.
Okay.
They was repping in P-Town,
Yeah,
and
no
then
doubt. They was.
and then Park Place. It seemed like
always.
it was a cluster of people from Park Place that was repping that.
Yeah.
And then I would also hear about Bayside Arms.
School.
Yeah, man. And it just seems like it's a rich history out there. A lot of artists and people that I know and respect seem to come from that area. I mean, so can you tell the people a little bit about what it was like for you growing up?
Oh, shit. That's a hell of a question. Yeah, I mean, I can tell a little bit about it. I mean, for me, if you depending on what age it was, growing up out Bayside Arms, it was one of those neighborhoods where if it was somebody close to your age and maybe y'all was, the same speed or something, you would end up having to fight that person that, one day. You would have to fight to be like the king of your age group. So, that went on for years, and, it always was a thing where we had to stick together. It was just like a bunch of brothers, but if you were older than the group of kids younger than you, you automatically had to deal with initiation. They would always tell us this to make us tougher, to make us stronger, So, it was real family atmosphere growing up, man. Once the hustling hit, once the crack hit in '83, the speed switched up. You know what I mean? Dude like me, I was probably on the block way before I was supposed to be. But around '83, '84, that crack really hit. So and I was from the part of Bayside Arms that was close to the area called Shady Rest. That's where all the hustling went on all night, 24 hours a day. I actually literally grew up right in front of Shady Rest, building a little clubhouse or whatever. So, it's safe to say I come from the hustlers of Bayside Arms.
Okay, so you got in the game early.
Early.
Did you have any voices or any doubt, anything telling you, any hesitation?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. I had I always used to say my conscience was my two grandmothers, Captain Wiggins and Marie Williams. So the voices and the doubts were strong in my brain, but I was bucking. B. So, I just had a thirst for it. I had a taste for it to get out there and get in the streets. Like I said, from a youngin', watching over there at the bootlegger house up by Shady Rest from 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. That's what I watched. I watched that speed. So I just had a hunger for it to get out there by the time I was 10, 11, 12.
So how old was you when you first hit a real lick? Were you at the end of the night your numbers was sick?
That question, that for real, for as long as I was out there, that could be an infinite answer. But I would say in the sense that you're saying, I remember the first time I pulled an all-nighter. And, nobody was pulling all-nighters. At that time, I pulled my all-nighter in North Ridge. North Ridge was a neighborhood that was built up right next to Bayside Arms. My family was the first family to move from Bayside Arms into North Ridge. North Ridge eventually became Vegas. So I pulled that all-nighter, and I think I was around like 14 years old, and I had made like $1,700 in that night, from like 11 to 5 in the morning. So, you make that kind of money in the hood at 14. Back then, it was something to talk about.
And what you do with the money?
I read up.
Okay.
I read up. I brought a chain too.
Okay.
Brought some nice kicks.
Okay.
I think what it was. No, I won't. think Theodora's was just hitting back then. You know what I mean? So
Uh-huh.
Damage and all that type of thing. But yeah, but I definitely read up
Okay.
early.
All right. All right. And so when after you told me that after you came home is when you really got into to the film and stuff. But how young were you when you did you have any of this artistic spark even during the young hustling days?
Yeah. I mean, even like right before the hustling days, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, right before 'em. You know, we got a mutual friend, you know, MC Chance or whatever. You know, he Chance to us in our neighborhood, he's the God MC. But you know, a lot of people don't know the history of the hip hop and Bass and Arms. That when Chance had first went to New York, he went with my big sister, Sandy Wiggins. He had went with her, so she actually was the one that wrote my first rhyme for me when I was about 10, right before I jumped in the streets. So, you know, as I got older, when I got into like my early 20s, right when I got out of prison this first time, yeah, I started a hip hop label called Wolfpack Entertainment. So we had about 3 or 4 years where we was just putting out album after album. So, I mean, yeah, I knew I had a little something at an early stage, but I didn't know how far I could take it.
Okay. Word. So let's talk about your film, Trying to Do Right.
Yeah.
You. How proud of you? How proud are you of that film? Like, tell me what you think about that piece of work right there.
I think that piece of work, to put it in one word, would be a miracle. You know what I mean? Like I said, the making of that movie, the story behind it is a movie in itself. Like, it's better than the movie. What happened to make that movie is actually a better story than the movie is. So, you know, I got involved with a bunch of people. I'm not gonna say a bunch. I got involved with a couple dudes who really didn't know the game as well as they portrayed to know the game, you know, and it ended up costing me money. So, you know, and it put me in a place where I had to make a hard decision, you know, do something, go back to prison, or like, hustle myself out of it. And that's how I ended up going further into making the next movie. So to answer the question, Trying to Do Right, man, I look at that as like I had to get revenge against that film, you know, like me against me type of thing. And that's how I looked at Tidewater. Tidewater was, if this was hip hop and one artist was dissing another artist, the artist for Tidewater was sending that as a diss track to the artist of Trying to Do Right.
So does that mean that you think that Trying to Do Right is, that Tidewater is a superior movie than Trying to Do Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna say I definitely would have to say yes, but I'm biased. I mean, I did everything on Tidewater, the editing, the filming, the whole nine. On Trying to Do Right, I just did the writing and the directing and sitting down and telling the editor what I wanted and where I wanted it. But for Tidewater, I pushed every button, and I saw a difference with the amount of control I had as compared to Tidewater. And even though I was still a novice in the game myself, I still saw myself picking up things and being able to at least create the project closer and faster to the way that I wanted it to be.
Do you read any of the comments?
Yeah. I mean, I almost feel obligated to read some of them, so yeah, I do. I even respond to some of them.
And what do you think about the feedback you've got from both of those movies?
Let me see. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen anything on Trying to Do Right, but I mean, even though the comments that are not favorable, I still saw some validity in them. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say people were hating because they didn't like this project or that project, because I'm the harshest critic on my work, but I saw the validity in it. So I wouldn't down those comments, but honestly, the comments for both movies, if you had to go percentage-wise, it's like 80% to the good, 80, 85, possibly. For Tidewater, it's like 92% ratio.
Yeah, I was reading and I was scrolling for a while before I found any that would be qualified as negative. But you said some of the criticisms are valid. You want to share any of them that you think has some validity?
Oh man, I can't think exactly in the detail. I haven't seen them in a while. Okay, I could think of one. I know, like for Tidewater, one person said just too much music or something of that nature. Like, I like the movie, but too much music. So I can see the validity in that they would feel that way. But, me, myself, that's what I purposely meant to do, to put that amount of music in there because when I made that movie, I had a certain audience in mind, and that audience was people who stay up late night watching YouTube movies with nothing to do. That's who I targeted to make that movie. I wasn't making that movie to try to do something better than Ryan Coogler, as good as Tyler Perry, as good as Spike Lee. I don't have the funds to do that, let's face it. I was making that movie to just be a good YouTube movie, to get people who watch YouTube to say like, yo, you seen this movie? That was a good movie. So I can understand how he would say it was too much music, but at the same time, I put that amount of music because the audience I was reaching to, I know that's what they were gonna like.
Do you think that there's a segment in the community that might have something that we can call gangster movie fatigue? Like it's been overdone and they feel like the storylines and the characters might not be the most positive image and there's some redundancy in the storytelling.
I have heard that, and I would be lying to say that I wasn't influenced by that thought process myself. It's being a guy that's been out in the streets for as long as I had been, but that's actually why I try. If you watch Trying to Do Right, then you can see that the speed was a little different than Tidewater. Trying to Do Right, I was trying to come out and show the more positive side of the street life and how an individual black man can turn his life around, or at least try, and things keep coming at him and not go his way. So that's why I kind of went that way, but I heard some things like it was kind of vanilla or whatever. So I said, okay, I'm gonna give you what you want. You know what I mean?
So people thought that Trying to Do Right wasn't gritty enough.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely. They were looking for that. I guess the hood tales and images are not so favorable. Me, myself, being that I lived that life for so long, I'm thinking, yo, that's too easy. You don't want me to give that to you because that's easy. I can just recall. I don't have to come up with characters like some of these people got to, sit down and make a person up. I can just recall and give you stories forever. So I said, let me try to show you and challenge myself. Trying to Do Right was a challenge. They did not, in my opinion, they didn't appreciate the challenge or whatever that I put on myself. So I came back with Me and My Cousins, the comedy, thinking like, well, let me show you that I can do some comedy. You know what I mean? But in my opinion, again, they weren't well received. Trying to Do Right and Me and My Cousins, even with the 500,000 views for Trying to Do Right, I still feel like it wasn't well received. So I came up with the idea, okay, I'm going to give you what you want.
I wrote down my immediate thoughts.
Okay.
Just straight streamlined.
I like to hear these type of things.
And I didn't get to do much. I'm with the baby at home in the daytime, and I'm prepping. So, but I wrote down a few sentences. So this is Trying to Do Right.
Okay.
As I watch the outtakes at the end of this film, I am reminded of Ice Cube and Chris Tucker reemerged as Ron Williams and Chris Patterson. I don't know if that is a flattering comparison, yet the archetype of the serious-minded, stocky black man from the hood with a hilarious sidekick who can transform into many different characters with ease is similar to the classic Friday. Comparisons aside, I think the film was brilliant. The personality of the characters in small roles ring true. The sincerity and likability for the good guy in this movie was accomplished effectively. There's a scene with an aggressive crackhead, also a racist probation officer, and an old school pimp at the poker table that have classic, memorable lines that can become quotables like "Bye Felicia" or "You got knocked the fuck out" from Friday, or "How Much for One Rib" by Chris Rock and "I'm Gonna Get You Sucker." The light-skinned jokes were heavy, and themes of faith in God, legacy, and living up to legacy, willing or unwillingly, were explored. As a person who has admitted to having gangster movie fatigue and one who has quit watching television going on 2 years now, I have a quick trigger finger, even when consuming work-related projects. I will say this, not once did I consider turning it off. I was happy when it ended, how it ended, and it left me wanting to see more.
Well,
That's from this morning.
Well, damn. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely should do this for a living. I think you're in the right field. that was I thought I was just listening to Siskel and Ebert or some shit. That was that was good.
All right, my brother.
That
Well,
was
look,
good.
we're gonna pause it right there. We're gonna come back. I want to talk about some more macro levels of Hollywood. And you did direct the scene where your son had to threaten to kill you. Didn't that happen?
Oh yeah, in Tidewater, yeah.
All right,
yeah,
we're gonna hear
yeah.
about that. I'm a father of
All
6 sons, and
That's dope.
I would be interested at how that would go with my family.
Yeah, that was dope.
But yeah, stay tuned. We're gonna explore that and more with my brother Ron Williams, aka Joshua Bain.